right, welcome back to another episode of D2D Success Stories. Here today with James Edwards. Welcome, man.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So we got some mutual friends, Kevin Cox, Brandon Cohen.
Yeah, that's right.
It's awesome, dude.
Shout out to those guys. They're the best.
Yeah.
They're the
And president of sales at Alder Security.
Yep, that's right.
Sweet, dude. And we were talking a little bit before we started. Been in the game 13 years.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Time goes fast in this. It's like when you first start, the days are weeks. You know, the weeks are months. But then every year that you do this, it's like, man, those months become weeks and the weeks become days. Like it just starts blurring.
Right.
It goes fast. I can't believe it's been 13 years.
Yeah. What would that make? 2011?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, started it up.
And 11 years now at Alder. That's what you said.
That's right.
Cool, dude.
Been there a long time.
So with that, that's kind of the intro. But let's go back to the beginning.
To the inception.
The inception.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Conception. Just kidding.
All right.
So tell us just kind of briefly, where you grew up and that type of stuff.
Yeah. So I'm a Utah boy.
All right.
So I went to Alta High School here in Utah, and in the summer, like my extended family, they own farm up in Washington. So all the boy cousins, we got shipped up to the farm up in Washington every summer.
Nice.
School year, I was here in Utah.
Is that like Eastern Washington?
Central. So we are in George County. We're the largest potato producing county in America.
Oh, go
We're
figure.
proud of it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, right. So a lot of your potatoes over there that you'll see in Five Guys come from our county. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
But it just grew up and working hard. I've got a lot of medicine in my family, and so like my mom, she helped start the transplant program for the kidney, heart, and liver at the University of Utah.
Yeah.
I was one of those kids that was like, doing flashcards with anatomy. Like I was one of those kids that like wanted to go through with it. And funny enough, like so I'm adopted, and this might be a story for a later time, but through my adoption, like throughout my whole life, I thought I was Native American. And so my nickname growing up is Chief. And so everyone called me Chief. And so I went on an LDS mission. Like I had a name tag. So I was Spanish speaking mission in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
And, Spanish people that, they said Elder Edwards, right? And they couldn't say Edwards.
Yeah.
And so I, wrote the home, and I'm like, hey, can you get me a plaque that says Elder Cacique? And they wrote back, it's like, what's Cacique mean? I was like, it means Edwards. It's good. And they're like, okay, cool. And Cacique is like an old Spanish word for Indian chief. So I was Elder Indian Chief my whole mission. So Elder Cacique. And so I was going through the whole thing because I loved it. Like I was one of a few graduating Native Americans in the state of Utah in 2009. Like I embraced all of it. And so like I loved being an Indian and all that. And so I was part of like assemblies. I got awards for it. Like I wrote a thesis statement because I wanted to go up to the U because medicine, I wanted to go to the University of Utah Medical School. My mom helped start that up there and just was influential. We have a lot of friends and family up there. So I had a pending scholarship lined up.
Yeah.
I went on my mission. I came back. I found my birth mom. Found out I wasn't Native American. It was all a sham. My whole life I was living a lie. And so it was pretty funny. All the pending scholarship was gone out the window. It's a long story. I could tell you another time. But that's like the joke now is like I'm an ex-Native American. And so I just found out I was Middle Eastern and Central American.
Well, at least you copped to it.
Right?
Yeah. Some people would have been like, let's not talk about this.
Hey, no, it's a hilarious story. So it's like now I'm like with family or my wife, like we'll see a buffalo on the road. She's like, hey, but remember when you're back Native American? You guys used to like that stuff? Yeah, I get it. So I'm the ex-Native American, worked on a farm with a bunch of cowboys, and it was just, cowboys and Indian. I was always the minority. I had to work hard. Right? I got my ass kicked. It was great. But and so growing up, like it was just all medicine. And so when I got back from my mission, the whole point was I need to get, to the U. I was trying to get my pre-med stuff done, trying to get all my generals done. And funny enough, I had one of my buddies, my best friend, he introduced me to Sam Taggart. He was like young in this, and you know how the game works.
Yep.
They call you up, hey, come and sit down with my manager. I got something I want to show you.
Right.
I mean, I'm from Utah. I know the game. So I'm like, all right, let's go. So where are we going to go? So we went to a restaurant. I can't remember what it was.
Brick oven. Just kidding.
Yeah, right. Brick oven or Zupa's or Denny's or whatever. Anyway, so we were at a sit down spot. I can't remember what it was. But it was I was a dick. I ordered like half the menu.
Nice.
I'm like, I know how this works. I'm gonna eat.
You say you got money. All right, buy food.
Let's go. Come on, summer sales. Let's do it. Big truck.
Yeah.
And so we're sitting there and we're talking, and Sam is charismatic. He's awesome. He's so fun to be around. He's talking about me, asking like, my life story. And I'm like, the whole time I'm like, all right, come on, where's the red herring? I want to dig in on this. So we start talking, and it was good. He played the round like he should have.
Yeah.
Right. You don't talk business until the 18th hole. And
Right.
so he did it good. And so at the end of it, it was like a funny little drug deal. He like pushed a piece of paper across the desk.
Right.
I like picked it up and looked at it. It was a W-9. It was a tax form. And it had my buddy's name on it. And I was looking at this and it had like $24,000 on it.
Yeah.
Now,
This is not Sam's. This is the
this
buddy.
is my buddy that introduced me.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, I was like, we weren't poor growing up, but
Yeah.
we weren't like, I didn't live abundantly.
Yeah.
And so I have never had more than 4 digits in my bank account at one given time. Like I've never had $1,000 more in my bank account.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm this broke, dumb kid who goes, school in Utah, works on a farm in the summers. And I'm just like, I don't know what
And
money is.
you're what, like 21 years old?
21.
And this is 2011.
11. Yeah.
So 24,000, 45,000 in 2024 money.
I mean, that's right. And so
Yeah.
he's throwing $24,000, and I'm looking at this, and I'm like, I see the number and I see my name. I'm like, what is this? He's like, that's what he earned last year. And I'm like, well, what time? Like, I got to go through school. He's like, oh no, it's only in 4 months. And I'm like, at that moment, because I was convinced, I'm like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm getting into door to door. I've got my career. I've got people like my mom's counting on me to going through this. Like we've talked about medicine. Like this is going to be a cool experience. And I've always wanted to be a doctor. I love the medicine life. It's fun. I've got a lot of friends who are doing that route.
Uh-huh.
And as soon as I saw that, a switch flipped. And it was like, if that idiot can do it, I can do it. And so at that point I was sold. I was like, all right, I'm going to go make some money. Let's do this thing. I could pay for school. And like the vision of grandeur came out,
Yeah.
And so I got it. I got sucked. I hit it and went out. And my first summer came through 2012. This summer we were in Lubbock, Amarillo, and Lubbock and Amarillo, Texas.
Nice.
My managers were Nick Hansen. Shout out Nick Hansen, Tracy Gardner, Bo Gardner's little brother, and they were incredible. Nick Hansen, I would still say to this day, is one of the greatest and most selfless managers I've ever experienced in my life. He helped just shape the course of my life. And he was just so giving and so freeing, and it just helped so much to have someone like that example. And
Which
that
is
caliber.
what you need as a rookie, right?
100%.
Yeah. Were you, were you kind of good starting out or tough start, or how'd it go?
No, that was hilarious. So we went on this little blitz, and I had some time, spring break, whatever.
Right.
And I took a week off, from my generals and whatnot. So I did a 2-week blitz.
Okay.
I was training through the winter, going through the spring, whatever, and 2-week blitz. And I think I ran like 5 credits. I sucked. I didn't sell a thing for the first 2 weeks.
Wow.
And so I'm like, for me, it's like hard to quit.
Yeah.
And so I was like,
And that's the blitz.
that's a blitz. So
Yeah,
this is in March.
So you do a blitz empty-handed, and then have that whole gap between, and then still go back for the summer.
Well, that's the thing is like, because I'm not very smart. I just work hard. Like I'm just some dumb, the farm kid who's just like, all right, people are making money, so obviously it can happen. I just got to figure this thing out. And so I'm trying to figure this thing out. I go on this blitz, 2 weeks, nothing. I like lose money going out. I'm desperate. I'm this poor punk kid in college. I don't have any money to my name. And I'm like, I got to ask him borrow money. And anyway, we went out on another blitz, and I was like, I'll give this one more shot. We went on a 3-day blitz out to Laredo, Texas. I got lucky. I sold 4. And then I went on another blitz a couple weeks later, 6-day blitz in Lubbock, and sold 7 in 6 days. And then, so I was at 11 before the summer started.
Okay.
So I'm feeling pretty, pretty cocky. I got my peacock rolling.
So did you catch some good training between Blitz 1 and Blitz 2, or what do you think it was?
Yeah. I mean, I just like, I got some good training. I got some good mentorship. Nick talked to me a ton. Sam talked to me a bunch. And because he had done all this, but we were more homies at that point.
Okay.
Like him and his crew, like my best friend grew up with Sam. And so like we all, you know how it is, like you could take so much advice from your best buddy.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I just went to like Nick and Tracy, and these guys were just, put me under their wing. I was talking to more people of like, hey, what do I need to do? And I've been more extroverted in my life. Like I love getting to know people. So this to me wasn't me getting out of my comfort zone to go talk to somebody,
Yeah.
it wasn't ever like a challenge. Like I wanted to learn how they were doing it because I saw people doing it. People
Yeah.
selling, for me, selling one a day would have been a dream back then. I prayed for that, right?
Right.
But 2, 3, 4, 5 in a day, I'm like, that's crazy. It's unheard of. Like, that's not possible. And then the alarm game is like, it's tough. And so I knew it could be done. So I just like kept hitting my head against the wall and hopefully I was going to break through it.
Yeah.
So then, I got done. Summer started. I was like a top rookie and I bageled for 8 straight days. And so the mental, like the gymnastics that was going through my mind, like I was just totally mentally compromised. I was like,
Sorry, when was the 8 straight days? To start the summer?
start summer. The first day of summer from like 8 straight days, I couldn't sell a thing.
Wow.
I went from didn't sell for 2 weeks, sold 3, then sold 7. And then it was only like maybe a month later, maybe 3 weeks later, then I went out and bageled for 8 straight days.
Dude, sometimes there's this thing, I see it with my reps all the time where like they'll be brand new. Let's say they do start out making sales. They do great. They don't know anything except what we taught them. They just go
Yes.
try to do it and like be optimistic and happy.
That's right.
They make sales. And then afterwards they go through their first slump, and I don't think they're super conscious either way about what they did right or what they did wrong.
Yeah.
That like there's zero ability to like step outside your body and kind of think about yourself for a second. So it's like I don't know, as you get deeper in the game, it's almost like, hey, whether you're doing good or you're doing bad, I want you to know why.
Yeah.
I want you to be able to recreate it later. You get what I'm saying?
100%. I know. I mean, we use the same phrase, but like people buy emotionally and justify logically.
Yeah.
Reps sell emotionally and justify logically depending on their paychecks, depending on like what they're getting immediately. Like they need that dopamine hit of like, I sold and I'm going to get some money from it.
Yeah.
And when you don't sell, then all of a sudden it's like they can't step out and they just hit this crevasse of like, woe is me, the misery,
When they start saying weird stuff, because like going back to my question, I always ask, well, what's different between now and when you were selling?
Yes.
And the notorious answer is, well, I don't know, man. I'm doing everything just the same.
Yes.
It's like,
Are you?
I believe you that you think that. I don't
Yes,
think you're
right.
lying.
Yep.
But
Yep.
it can't be true though. Yeah.
It comes down to the basics. And
Yeah.
so that's where it came. Like for me, I did the same thing. I was cocky. Coming in the first day of the summer, I had 11. I was ready to go. They were saying the statistics and alarms. If you can do 10 preseason, then you'll do 100 in the summer. So I'm like, I'm going to do 100 this year. I'm the best.
You're taking it like it's a given. and
Yes,
stuff.
a
Yeah.
given. And
Yeah.
so it really breaks down to this. And this is any industry. Time on the doors and making it make sense. If you can just do those two things, just simplify the process and get more time on the doors, you're going to get it. But people are trying to always cut the corners and cheat the system. It's like, just spend more time on the doors. You're going to get through it. Mm-hmm. And if it's not making sense, if you're trying to like reinvent the wheel, stop, go back to the basics.
Make it make sense for the homeowner.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so, it was good. Finally, I cracked it, and then I started getting my stride, and it just came to it where I just had to work all the hours, and so that's just what I decided to do. So I got lucky that summer, and I went out and made some good money.
Nice. So you finished strong, like.
I finished with 124. I finished with like just around 70 grand. Mm-hmm. And it took me 5-ish months with all the preseason and everything. I'd say about 5-ish months to make 70 grand. It took me about 6 months to spend it all. And I bought cars and guns and trips.
I'm understanding the you and Brandon being friends thing now.
Yeah, right. Well, I had learned by the time I met Brandon at that point, because he is a flashy guy. He will spend that money.
Yeah.
And so I did not have good mentors in the financial district of like where to put my money. I wish I did. But I instead of like investing it, and this to this day hurts my heart. My best friend Andrew, his dad was a real estate agent up in Park City, and there was this condo in 2012 on Park City, Maine. And it was, they're revamping, redoing different things. They're trying to get more into it. But I mean, it would, the housing crisis crashed 4 years ago. They're still trying to rebound. And it was selling. It was a 2-bedroom, like condo, little apartment thing right on Park City, Maine. and it was going for 110 grand. And he's like, hey,
good grief, dude.
it is right at back ends. And he's like, if you guys both put $10,000 in, you guys can own it and then just Airbnb it. And again, I've never made this type of money.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know if I can let go of 10 grand. Like, I don't know. And I just didn't have, like, people are saying this is what you should put your money into, but I didn't really have the know-all of what to do.
Yeah.
So we passed on it. And every year I keep sending him the listings of that same one. Right now it's going for like 1.6 million bucks.
My goodness.
Oh, just hurts the heart.
Well, if nothing else, you keep getting the mileage out of that lesson.
Yes, yes.
Keep it present every year.
100%. Oh, the sting it's just as potent.
Yeah.
But instead, a worthy investment, I did things like, this one my wife loves when I tell this story, but I met a girl, decided to be spontaneous. We took a date. We went to the Salt Lake airport. We got the next flight to San Francisco. We flew to San Francisco, went to dinner, and flew home. That was our date. That's what I did with my money. Talk about success, right? Because I wanted to be a baller, and I'm like, hey, babe, let's go to dinner. I got a good spot for you.
Do you know who I am? I sold 100 alarms.
Yeah. James, have you heard of me?
Yeah.
I mean, you probably have. I'm just, you're just a young, dumb punk kid. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It was fun. It taught me some good lessons. I made some money quick. I lost some money quick. Second year went around. I sold about the same. And at that point, I realized I was like, I need to change something, or I need to change, my environment. I need to change how I'm looking at this. And that's when things actually started changing. And
From year 2 to 3?
Yeah, from year 2 to 3.
Okay.
And that's when I got introduced, actually by Sam. Sam introduced me to Adam Shantz, who's the CEO over at Alder. And he started just opening my eyes on like how much accounts are worth, like thinking not more in commissions, but in contractual value, and just looking at not just a one-time payment, but like a residual model, an equity model, like how much I can actually monetize my time. And it just kind of opened my eyes and changed me from there. And so at that point, it was like, let's make this change. If I'm going to do it, then I need to jump into it. And so there's 2 big changes. I either had to like take this full time and really jump in and not just make it a summer thing, make it year round and use it as like kind of a career stepping stone, or step away from this and go back into schooling. And I'm like, now, I've taken the hit, and I'm like, I like the money of sales. So let's just go the sales route. So I went the sales route 2013.
So you changed companies. Kind of changed course from the medical school, et cetera, route.
Stopped that. Had to have a real fun conversation with my mom and parents about it. But I just went that route and just hadn't looked back.
Yeah, threw in with that career. And I know Shands is super frugal and all that type. He probably beat you over the head about your financial decisions.
Oh yeah, no. When you bootstrap a company, like the thing is, the guy, he started that. We were in the early days, like even so, it's just a totally different model, right? Guys are used to the commission. I'm used to the commission. Like I'd go sell a deal, I'd make a few $100s for the sale, and then these are the early days, and so now guys are making $400, $500, $600, $700, $800 a deal, just in alarms, depending on whether you're in a dealer program or a higher summer prop model or whatever. And back then I was on a salary because I was like, I get ownership of accounts. So I went from selling 100 accounts to selling my first year in 2014 with Alder for summer with 2014, because I switched over in the fall of 2013.
Okay.
I sold 220, and then I went the following year, and the next 5 years I sold over 300 accounts. And it was just from him, because he just sells at such a volume at such a high rate, right? I would consider him our Michael Jordan of our industry. Like he is phenomenal. And anyway, it just rubbed off. I was able to do it, and I felt like I cut my teeth on like how to sell. And then as I was selling high numbers, I was able to build teams, build more offices, and then I just slowly started to progress within the company. Yeah.
So talk about that recruiting through those years. Did you recruit your first 2 years, or did you kind of pick up on that after you threw in seriously?
Yeah, no, totally did. I've recruited a ton of some of my best friends, and we would network with a few people, and then just like anything else, it would just churn. You just start over and just keep going, and until it finally started sticking. We started getting more momentum, and it was the same battle every year. I just kept going at it.
Yeah.
So it was a good time. Alder's not like the big boys. Like I respect like Vivint. They're huge, and they have defined. I feel like they have defined summer sales. Aptiv, they are huge. They've defined a lot of summer sales. I feel that there's companies that have made a footprint that have helped us in a huge way.
Totally.
And so I feel like we've got a lot of big fish, but we're a small pond.
Yeah.
And so it's like we just kind of kept to ourselves. And Alder's been a great home, and they've taught me like. I don't know if I'd be able to acquire such an education, like me being the president of sales now, going from just a standalone rep and just slowly making my way up. It was more situational. And so, I laugh about it all the time now because I work with some of the people who I consider the greatest in our industry. I've got, Dane McCartney, Jake Dahl, Tyler Jones, Bobby Shane, Matt Harris. I've got guys, reps that will sell, 400, 500, 600 accounts year after year. You want a youngster now. We've got Danny Layton. I've got Austin Daniels, Mitch Foley. Some of these huge names that sell just gobs of account that are part of the 1%ers. For me, it was like if I could sell 300 accounts 5 years in a row, like Jeff Mendez did, who was my regional back at Vivint, then all of a sudden the veil would start to thin, and like I would be accepted, and the sales gods would bless me. And
you joined the club.
The 5th year that I did it, I was like waiting for the clouds to part, and it was just normal. I was like, all right, well, next year let's go through and do it. And it is just funny because like I feel like I can throw down with the best of them. I mean, be part of the top 5%ers, but there's 1%ers over at Alder that they can run circles around guys selling 200-300 accounts, no problem. It's pretty fun to be around.
So where does that come from? How do you build that culture like that?
Adam Shantz. Like, just to give you an example, right? So my best week selling alarms in my career is 42. My best day is 12. His best week selling alarms is 214. His best day, I think, is like 42 or 40, 44, 40, something like that. His best day. You understand? It's not that. And the thing is, we filmed it. So like I've been with him personally on doors. Like I remember in 2014, I was out on the doors with him. We were in Orange, Texas, and we sold 11 deals that day, and he sold 6 of them in an hour and a half. It was just neighbor. And it's not that is anything sketchy or weird. He just shows up, and he's the master of emotion and momentum. Truly is. I've been all over the world with him. Like we own a nonprofit, and we do cataract surgeries for people in Africa. So we go to Ghana, and we have a friend that's out in Oregon who's an ophthalmologist, and he's got such a big heart. And so Adam spends all this money, and he's got his buddy, and we go out there. We'll go to Ghana, and the dude is just giving money. Like we'll go to these tiny towns. We went to this town, Burkina Faso. It's the most northern town. It's like 5 miles underneath, or not Burkina Faso, Bogotanga. It's underneath the country Burkina Faso. And so it's like 5 miles from Burkina Faso. And so Bogotanga, we'll go there. Like he'll buy cows and goats and like slaughter them all, hold big parties for this like city, this little town. Like he'll go in, like he's talked us into getting into Burkina Faso and to Togo. We don't have visas. We don't have anything. I had to leave my visa at the border of Ghana with them in Burkina Faso just to get in, just because we want to go see it. But he is the master of emotion, and so he'll go in, and this is kind of a long about way. But he'll go into different areas, and he'll sell the mayor, the chief of police, do whatever, and then he'll be like, "Come with me," and he'll take their hands and just take them, and they'll go door to door with them, and he'll be like, "Cool, you become a rep. I'll pay you $100. Every person you give me, I'll give you $100, and you just go recruit. Just call me and tell me when they're ready." And he has minions everywhere in that town that just go and sell for him. So it's not like he's gone out and sold. I remember the first year that it was truly amazing. He did 114 deals going out and selling on his own. Like he had referrals, but he was by himself, no bird doggers, and just doing it. And that's incredible. But when he did 214, 212 or something like that, when he did his big week, he just recruits people to go and spread the message, spread the word. And so how we get guys to hit big numbers, like Jake Dahl, Dane McCartney, they've done 700-800 alarms in a year. We're going year round. We've got Tyler Jones has done over 600 accounts in a year. Austin Daniels done over 500 accounts a year. Mitch Foley, 400 accounts. He was a Golden Door recipient last year. I've got Danny Layton, who's a youngster right now. He did 554 last year. He was the #1 alarm sales rep in America last year. Like it's just, Adam imbues so much skill and confidence. He forces you to step up. And if you don't step up, he's frugal and he is very demanding. Like you have to, your T's have to be crossed and I's are dotted. Like he'll demand everything out of you. And so it's just that you get what you can from him, and he'll get what he can out of you.
Right.
So it's good.
Yeah, just full extroversion at all moments, just fully like.
Yeah, he is. I mean, it's a special type of demon, and we joke about it now. Like what he was looking for in like kind of the inception of Alder, we were alarm protection before, and that's when I started joining with him. He wanted like the Navy SEALs of alarm guys. He was going after the specials, whereas Vivint was like the Chinese army. They just wanted anyone and everyone.
Count.
Yeah, the head count.
Right.
And so now we look back on it and we're like, that was probably the route to go. Like, it's like we have these old guys that are really good, but like we have a small group of them. And so we can do really good, like very, very potent head for head, but I mean, you get overrun pretty quick. So
talk about just staying in love with home security for a whole bunch of years. Because like we were talking about before we started shooting, a lot of people have gone out and
moved on. Yeah.
Now, potentially there's a flood back in, yet to be seen. I mean, if you look at the economy, like some of these other things are getting flooded now. Maybe they should come back to home security. What do you think?
Well, I will say this. I have a ton of friends right now who are doing solar, who are doing other industries. And they're making gobs of money, and I freaking love it. I love when people make money.
Happy for them, yeah.
Totally happy for them. Totally excited for them. I think it's awesome, and it's the gold mine, right? Like everyone's going out making big bucks, and we'll see. It's really the economy.
Yeah.
And so if like interest rates start hiking up and it starts taking out of guys' pockets, that's going to suck. If fulfillment starts, I mean, it depends on like tariffs. It depends on shipping, like delivery. We got a bunch of companies who, the fulfillment companies especially with solar, it's like, hey, we want to get as many people as possibly can because we have a ton of glass. And then all of a sudden all the glass is called for. It's like, what do you do at that point?
Lots of moving parts.
Lots of moving parts.
And moving parts that are out of your control.
Yeah. And so like you don't ever want to see, someone lose. But they're in our industry, like you're ignorant if you think that there's not ebbs and flows. Like there's ebbs and flows in alarms. Like right now, I mean, we're at an ebb where our valley is low. There's no competition.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm loving life, especially for my guys, because I can tell them like, hey, go to these areas that are soft. Like nobody hits them. They're all talking about solar and pest control and all this. It's like nobody's talking about alarms right now. Like I don't have competitors right now.
Yeah.
And so so it's good. It's easy. The bar of entry for us is simple. I think as the economy starts to, again, peak instead of, the peaks and valleys of it, we'll see what happens. But I think AI, we were talking about this earlier, but I think AI is going to play a big part in this. We have a very huge AI component. We do alarms and NVRs. And so like just hardwired camera systems, and they are for us like cutting edge. Like we're selling more of those than alarms. And so people just want to know what's around the home without spending thousands of dollars for an electrician to come and wire their house up.
Yeah.
And so we are, we're getting home runs with it. Our attrition's low, and we're selling a ton. And the thing is that I just want my guys to make a ton of money.
Yeah.
And so me just remembering being a manager, that's all I wanted for my dudes is when, like me and Brandon Cohen, when we were running offices together, like I loved it. Our biggest office that we ran was like 82 dudes out in South Carolina. Like it was a freaking monster of an office. Yeah. And we had to like play the game. And for him is like mom and dad. Like I was the person that was running out front. I had to be the sales rabbit. So everyone had to chase. And I had 20% that could, they're starting to nip at me.
Yep.
80%. Brandon was in the back and as the shepherd, just like, just like trying to push them along.
Yeah.
And it worked for us. Like, and it's hard to do a partnership like
Freak
that.
you out running a meeting with 82 people every morning?
Dude, it was It was so packed.
I do that type of thing period, and I can do it, but afterwards I'm always like, man, I'm sweating bullets.
Oh, yeah.
I got the heart palpitations going. I'm
Yeah.
3 energy drinks deep, you know.
You're just self-medicating. You're like, all right, I got to keep attention. Like,
Yeah.
No, but and that's the thing is our guys were so good. Like I had some of my best friends, and that going into it, like I saw places where Alder could improve.
Yeah.
And that's where I think my insertion into like kind of a higher level, like me and Brandon were running teams, and then we crushed it. We became, co-regionals, and started moving up, and we just wanted more for our guys. Uh-huh. And this is where I kind of come back to. I think the reason I've stayed at Alder, like my love for it is, like selling alarms, protecting homes and family. It's awesome. It's cool to be able to do that. What's also cool is like my customers are my reps.
Yeah.
And so I enjoy my position because I am a rep. And so I'm like a representative executive. And so I've walked the walk. I've gone out. I've cut my teeth on the doors. Like I know what they're going through. I still go out. When I go visit offices, I will grab a binder and get on the doors with guys. Mm-hmm. Like I had an executive tell me this one time where he's like, I asked him to go when I was managing a team. It's like, hey, will you come knock with this guy? He's like, nah, we don't do that anymore. And I'm like, the hell? I will never be. If I'm ever in your shoes, I'll never be that type of guy. So, it's just like, I want to be someone that people feel like they can follow and that they can trust, but I don't ever want to lose that grasp of reality of what they're actually going through. And it's a hard job. It doesn't matter what industry, pest control, alarms, roofs, solar, like you got to go grind it out.
There's so many freaking geniuses with like a hot management take of how you shouldn't be doing XYZ anymore. And like, I understand what they're trying to say. You shouldn't be doing XYZ thing all day anymore. But if you're unable and unwilling to do it for, 2 hours on some kind of visit, that's crazy.
No, lead from the front.
Yeah.
Like show them that you're willing to do what you're asking them to do. Let's go get sweaty. Like, let's go have some fun. And that's for me, like, I love to like ping back forth. I'm going to see what they're doing, and then I'm going to do something. It's like, if you love it, great. There's 100 ways to skin this cat. When I go out, unless it's like a rookie that is like trying to recreate the wheel, I'll be like, hey, dude, let me just write something down. Like, just read this. Like, don't recreate the wheel. But like with my managers, I love going out with them and razzing them and embarrassing them and like just being on the doors, because I still like sales. Like sales is that's the golden goose. Uh-huh. It's not running a company. We get our revenue from sales. We get it. Like we have to remember this is a production-based industry. And if you do not produce, you cannot proceed. You cannot survive.
Yeah.
And so anyway, being out there, like my guys, if there's a way to find like how to make more money for my dudes, awesome. And that's what I truly like try to thrive. That's where I'm going to get a lot of my energy is. Adam has given me the ability to make mistakes and still maintain, my position and still try to learn and grow. I don't have a degree. I have no business being a president of sales. I have no business. I feel incompetent, sitting in a boardroom full of, CFOs and CTOs and COOs and just sitting there and watching these guys who have degrees and going through this and having them look to me for answers and being accountable to a lot of different things. And I honor that position, and because I honor the guys that trust me to make sure that I have their back. And
so, talk about getting that position. Like, you were a good rep, but you were just saying there's a couple dudes who can sell better than you ever did.
So good.
But you were good. You were certainly good. Good rep. Good recruiter.
Yeah, I felt like I was a great recruiter. I had some great guys, like our year that we went through. And this is one of those things that I've always talked about. Like from when me and Brandon were managing, like we went from 82 dudes and we branched off and we had a bunch of other teams, and then we were co-regional and with Matt Harris, and shout out to him because he's a stud. He's like, again, kind of like a Nick Hansen type of guy. He's just a very, very giving person. Uh-huh. There was a point where I'm like, Alder has an opportunity to change if they will allow it, and they need to, because I need my guys to make more money. I need my guys, like there's margin here. I need to make it. And that's when me and Brandon, we were talking with Adam and going through this point, and we talked to him a ton, and we're like, things need to change. Like, we can't keep doing the same thing. We're going to lose everybody, and I don't want to lose my people. I've just worked for years to maintain them and work with them. I have gobs of guys that are with me, and they look to me, and so at that point, Sean Brenchley, who helped start Vivint, he'd been in retirement since 2012, and we had, Adam and him were talking, and he brought him out of retirement. And at that point, like, I was, Cohen was out, and we were looking at other places. I was actually looking to leave Alder. And I'm like, I have to feel like I can trust the organization's going to change for the betterment of my people. And that's when Brandon Cohen had transitioned over to Aptive with my help too, as all of it was open and public. And I was talking to Shans about it. And as we transitioned, those guys, Brenchley called me, and he's like, hey, just before, if you're really going to make this step. And for me, this was a hard decision, because at that point, it was like 8 years, of my life. I had given everything to this company. 7.5, 8 years of my life, give everything to this company. I had delayed compensation because I wanted a residual book of business. Like, my residual book of business was, if it would have gotten paid out, was like $45,000 a month. Like, I had, upon an acquisition in the company, like, I could have made millions, right? But it was all paper money. It's funny money.
Right.
And that's how it always is. And that is truly, like, as honest, as transparent as possible. Like, that's the criticism that Alder gets a lot. It's just like, are they going to do it? Are they going to sell? What's going on? I mean, we just haven't sold. And from, the dip in 2020 from COVID, the dip, like, interest rates, everything else. And there's a million reasons why not, but we're still going, and we're still, like, hammering. But we needed to move forward. I had a lot of my eggs were in this basket. So for me, it was very, very hard. And so as we were transitioning everybody out, Brenchley called me up, and he's like, hey, let's go to lunch. And I mean, Brenchley he's the godfather of so many people in this industry.
OG, yeah.
He is, I mean, you speak his name in reverence. Like, he's a great, great man. And so he called me over, went to lunch. Sat down. He's like, hey, what are the issues? As you leave, just let me know what I'm walking into. So we went to lunch, and we talked about it. And he's like, at the end of it, like, we spent a couple hours talking. He's like, can you help me? Can you, kind of build this list out? And can we meet one more time? I'm like, sure, no problem. I'd be more than happy to meet. And I built out a list, and a column is like things we can do for the reps, things we can do for the company, and things we can do for the customer. And I had solutions on some of them. Other ones I was just ignorant to. I didn't know, like, the economy to scale of, like, what we could do. I didn't know, like, specific things I wouldn't know about the business. But gave him that. He looked it over, and he's like, just come work for me. And you got to understand, like, I've got old guys.
Who better to fix the problems than the guy who knows them all?
Well, and it's the thing. But my thing, he asked me to come work for him, and I'm like, as what? And he's like, you'll be one of my VPs. And I'm like, no. Like, think of it this way. I've got, in my mind, I had like a Jeff Mendez, a Casey Baugh, I had these regionals that were above me. So I had like these Jake Dolls who I worked with for 4 years. Matt Harris, I worked with for years. Bobby Shane, like, I had these guys that have commanded respect. They've earned they were above me. And Brenchley's, he's like, I don't care. Just come work for me. And I'm like, you're not going to put me in a position where I'm going to tell those guys something of what to do. And so it took me a while to, like, bring that in. And he's like, bro, put down your pride, put everything else down. He's like, what is the reason that you're trying, that you were insecure about Alder? What are the reasons that, would push you away from this place? And he's like, what, if you were given the power to fix those, could you and would you? Like, what's the point? If you're not going to fix it, why complain about it? And at that point, he caught me on that. And I'm like, okay, cool, let's do it. And so I started in as a VP, and I got the Brenchley effect, and I went to work. And I wrote a new training manual. I spent 4 months of my life just diving into this, like, 180-page manual of, like, workshops and how to do different things, and building it out, and it was awesome. And then we did video seminars, and we did, like, I traveled more, just going to different offices, training different guys, and, like, it revitalized, like, my energy and passion to it. And then and then Brenchley stepped away, and then we were able to have, like, just a reorganization of it. And at that point, it was more just like, it was circumstantial. It was just because I was there.
Yeah.
Where Shans is like, all right, well, you're the interim now. and let's see what you can do. And so that first year I was the interim president, and then he's like, okay, well, you didn't crash the program, so you're the president of sales. And
congratulations.
Yeah, he's like, here.
Yeah.
So more responsibility.
Yeah.
No more pay. Like you're good there. It's like, okay, let's learn it.
So, can you tell us a couple changes you implemented that you're like super proud of?
Yeah, 100%. So there's one thing right now, I call it my 100K plan, where I can get a guy, when I was over doing Vivint, like you would get these overrides on recruits and everything, but they would kick in at high levels, like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 accounts.
Yeah.
But there's talented people. And so I started thinking about it. I'm like, pest control does it where they do, margins, they do percentages, and you can make, margin off different people, but it's that you're stuck on that margin. And so it's more of like a hush hush, how much margin you can get off of a contract value. And so alarms is different because everybody knows everything that you make, everything that you get. It's on a pay scale.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm like, well, when I started actually learning how to get in the numbers, I started talking with Chance. I'm like, hey, there's margin here. We can mitigate our risk by one, paying an advance, having bonuses, and then having an override. We just have to dress it a specific way. We have to show how it's done. And so how we do it, what I created is this 100K plan where I can pay a guy who maybe is not 1,000, 2,000 account manager. He's a 500 account manager. And I based off 500 accounts. Come and do 500 accounts at Alder. I'll pay you $100,000 for 500 accounts. I'll pay you 50 grand up front, and I'll pay you 50 grand in the back end. So the 50 grand up front says this: I'll give you $2,000 a month. So $500 a week, for 4 weeks of that month. Some weeks have 5, but we have $2,000 a month, a week allotted to it. And then if you hit bonuses, like when you and your team get 25, 50, 75, 100, 150, 200, 250, we'll pay you $2,000 every single level. And that's the first 50 grand. And then at back end, if you guys do over, we start from 0 to 250 accounts is $25 override. From 250 to 499 accounts is $50 override. From 500 accounts is $100 override. And we go all the way up till 1,500 accounts. And then you go into your junior regional, and then you go into your regional. And so I started creating that, and I didn't know how it was going to go. And I have second-year managers, third-year managers who I truly are not large managers. They have gumption, they have gusto, they have work ethic, but they're not as well-rounded as some of our like all-star managers that we think about in the industry that can go command these massive offices. And they're not only making a difference in their own personal sales, but they're making a huge difference in managing. And it's cool to be able to mentor them in a way like my first year, instead of going and making 70 grand and spending it, to mentor them and to have them see life-changing money at 22, 23 years old, making hundreds of thousands of dollars in a year, in a summer, and saying, cool, now let's go put it in this fund. Let's go to this. Let's start your LLC, your S Corp. Let's go and put this here. Let's go and, and just show them how to actually make some money.
So you were able to basically find a way to make the tent a little bigger and not just only have Navy SEALs, but also have people who are still good, but maybe not Navy SEALs.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just, I wanted to open it up. Yeah. I wanted the small guy who wanted a chance at some big numbers.
Yeah.
So I didn't take away from those guys producing a ton, but I gave them an opportunity to play at the same playing field and to get that endorphin hit of, I accomplished this.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing. That's my biggest retention tool. And so, that's the part of our change out there. And I've appreciated our pay scales have changed in a better way, like how we monetize. We do this thing like in alarms. A lot of people have done it, especially Alder, but like proof of home ownership, right? I hated having to prove that. And so finally, when I got into a position where my voice could be heard, I just showed the data. I was like, proof of home ownership, I don't care. Rather, I want proof of payment. Like, just show me who's going to pay the bill. Like, the way to get a qualified deal at Alder is very simple. There's 3 things you got to do. And so I was grateful for Adam for just listening to me and giving me a space to try this out. And so far, it's worked pretty well.
Nice.
So it's fun. We're hitting more quality accounts than we've ever have. We've got healthy accounts. It's been a fun time. So yeah.
That's awesome. And talk about kind of where you see the home security industry go. We were talking about AI earlier.
Yeah.
Does that create an opportunity for More margin, bigger commissions?
Yes.
Or, yeah.
Well, I mean, you got to think about this. Like right now, you've got AI. So the iPhone changed the world, right? Right. Cell phones changed the world, and then you
Yep.
got the iPhone that was created. Like it was crazy because Steve Jobs is sitting there with all of his engineers, and the iPad was the idea before the iPhone, and he just walked in and was like, "What if we put a phone in this thing?" And it changed the game. AI will change our lives. 100% AI will change our lives. And so right now we have it's conceptual AI in our cameras where it can learn everything. Like I was just saying this, you take door sensors, window sensors, smoke detectors, carbon monoxide sensors, glass breaks, motion, and medical pendants. And you can have a camera, whether it's in the home, and it can learn of the home. Like if a door opens, AI can tell if a door's opening or closing. AI can tell if a window's shattering. AI can tell, if someone's falling. You have an accelerometer in your watch, and that's how the iWatch does it. That's how the Garmin's do it. Like, you fall down and it sends a signal like, oh, someone just fell. Someone just hit the ground. They went fast and stopped, hit the ground. So you can have data that can calculate if a person's standing upright and falling down, what they can do, and it can send that video. It can send an alert. You take $100, $200, $300 worth of equipment, you put it inside of a $50 camera, absolutely there's more margin. Absolutely there's more opportunity.
So you can accomplish the same objective for the homeowner, but it's cheaper to produce. Basically.
Cheaper to produce.
Yeah,
and so it's just, it's you want a great product. I don't think alarms will ever go away because I think that sensors, like that instant hit of like open doors, closed doors, whatever. I mean, it probably could. But I think right now, alarms, AI, it is going to be, in the next couple of years, you'll see a huge integration in it.
Right.
And so that's just a lot of the tech companies we're talking to right now. It is absolutely going that way. Mm-hmm. So we're excited about it. So we've got our engineers and everyone working on it. We've got a lot of good stuff coming up for the future.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
As we kind of wrap up, just any parting advice you'd like to give to a listener who's, maybe where you were 1, 2, 3 years in, thinking about like building a long career?
Good question. Honestly, success. This is tie over the shoulder. This is my own personal opinion on it.
Okay.
Success is more about persistence than I think anything else. Mm-hmm. I have something I teach all of my guys. I've taught them for years. This is just one of my the laws of my offices. Is you control the controllables. The controllables are 3 things. It's work all the hours, have a great attitude, and have a crazy amount of passion, a crazy amount of confidence. That's what you can control. You can't control whether it's a good day, bad day, area. You can't control if someone canceled or not. You can't control if you sell or not. You can't control, if you can master your emotions, master them. And once you do that, we would call it just getting numb. Like back when I was selling year round, me and Jake Dahl, and shout out to Jake. I mean, he's a master at what he's done, one of the best. And we just go out and tell our teams all right, it's time to go sell. Let's get numb. Go for it. Go out for the doors and go work it. Put your time out there, work the hours. And if you do that with a good attitude, working the hours, having a lot of passion long enough, you will see leaps and bounds. You will see improvement and progress in your position. And again, I am humble at the position I have. I look up to everyone. I have leaders in my organization that I would love to see them in my position because I would follow them. I have leaders, regionals that I would work for without skipping a beat. I love the people I work with, and I'm just grateful for them and their example and what they've done. But if you're able to endure and endure it well.
Yeah.
And you get to a position that you can make a difference, people just want to relax and let off on the gas. Absolutely not. Respect the chair and respect the position. Go get your job done and work your ass off.
Man, it's something I've been talking about with my guys quite a bit recently. There's this, actually my partner Kyle keeps saying this. I don't know where he got it, some documentary or something. But I was talking about bodybuilders.
Yeah.
The best bodybuilders in the world, it's not that they have a more inventive program than the rest of honestly, they probably do the same lifts me or you do.
Sure.
But they are super immune to the monotony of
Yes.
body. But, you know, think about how many times Ronnie Coleman sat there and done tricep extensions. He's
Thousands,
Yeah.
tens of thousands.
You would think he's got to be so bored of tricep extensions by now, but he withstood it because he got massive, right? So anyway, yeah, man, I love the conversation on just sticking with it, not quitting, not getting bored, not getting shiny object syndrome, just still being here, you know?
Yeah. Well, and you don't have to reinvent it. Again, it's like, I would say guys are like, I'm burnt out. I hear that all the time. It's like, you're not burnt out.
Dude, we have too much of a like a finish line syndrome in door to door. Sometimes everybody's like, "How can I retire when I'm 27?" It's like, dude, if you do this for 15 years and you retire when you're 37, is that a travesty?
No.
Yeah.
No. Burnout is a state of mind. I'm telling you, like, right, you have to have a bigger reason.
Yeah.
It's why you're doing it. But if you can master that emotion, control the controllables, and just go through the monotony of, okay, I know what's expected of me. I just need to get on the doors and work the hours.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to cheat the system. Like, I always tease about this. The grind, she's a fickle mistress. She knows who cheats or not, and she'll bless those. Like, you know, the harder you work, the luckier you get. Like, she'll bless you if you can actually go through it. But yeah, just do the basics and get out there and just go work your ass off, and you will get rewarded for it. It might not come all at once, but you start looking at the mountain you're climbing in a 30,000 foot view, and you start looking down, and you'll start seeing the progress you've made. So just don't stop. Just get to work. Quit making excuses and go to work.
Love it. Love it. Well, if our listeners want to follow along with you do Instagram or LinkedIn, or what's the thing?
Yeah. I mean, I'm LinkedIn, but Instagram, I'm on there.
What's your at?
Chief James 28.
Love it.
Chief. I just haven't changed it for years, and so it's just the joke now. But yeah, Chief James 28. But I appreciate being on here. Thanks for having me on here. I'd be more than happy to talk to anybody.
Love it. Thanks for coming, man.
Thanks, dude.